Oh Festivus, a holiday for the rest of us. Don't kill a tree or decorate, put up a pole, high strength to wait. Disappointments, don't be scared, be sure to get your grievance aired. Oh Festivus, a holiday for the rest of us. I saw a doll up on the shelf, I had to have it for myself. Blows were thrown on that day, I knew there had to be a better way. We don't buy gifts or shop online, instead we get the gift of time. Oh Festivus, a holiday for the rest of us. Oh Festivus, a holiday for the rest of us. The feats of strength shall now begin, and they won't end until I'm pinned. This holiday just isn't done until you give to the human fund. Oh Festivus, a holiday for the rest of us. It's another Festivus miracle.
Let's do it then.
All right.
Festivus is back. I'll get the pole out of.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Festivus, IT Festivus 2024. I'm Jonathan Crow, Director of Community here at Ninja Wine, and I have my other partners in crime at the community team at Ninja Wine, Robin and Brittany. Thanks for joining us for another Festivus, team.
Thanks for having us.
This is the fourth year we're doing this. Thank you, everybody, for taking time. This is a crazy time of year. Really appreciate everyone taking time out of their schedules to join us. We're going to have a lot of fun. We have some amazing guests that we're going to bring on in just a little bit. We're going to also thank you to everyone who took time to submit to our contest, who aired their grievances with us, shared those. You didn't need a whole lot of encouragement to do that, I'll say. And also sharing your feats of strength, which, as you saw from that slideshow, if you tuned in a little earlier, we got some really incredible ones. So Brittany, why don't you say hi to everybody? For those of you who are in our Discord or involved in the IT Leadership Lab or any other, you know Brittany. But Brittany, why don't you say hello and explain one of our contests, the airing of grievances, I think.
Yeah. So I'm Brittany. I am technical content and community manager at Ninja One. So I help handle the Discord server. And I also recently launched our IT Leadership Lab. So if you are an IT leader looking for any resources for IT leadership, maybe it's budgeting or spreadsheets or things that you might need as an IT leader, we've got a ton of that in the IT Leadership Lab. But today, I'm here specifically to talk to you about IT Festivus and the airing of grievances. And so maybe it is a user that wouldn't stop pestering you, or maybe it is a server that kept going down. Maybe it's updates that needed to be made. Um, you know, any kind of IT grievance, we welcomed it and asked for entries in the Spiceworks community and beyond to know what bothered you from the past year. So we have a few different prizes for the IT grievances. The first grand prize is the Rivendell Lego set, which I am very, very jealous. This is something that I I have been wanting personally for a while.
100%.
And if you'll think back to the Council of Elrond, I think that was a pretty big airing of grievances. So sorry, my cat just jumped up here. So he wanted to share his own grievances.
Welcome to in Festivus.
Yeah. Well, it's he wants
They
to be
embody the spirit of it, I think, a lot. Actually.
Yeah. And then our second and third place prizes will be getting some Bose Quiet Comfort headphones to kind of block out the noise of all of those people that might be causing you those grievances. And then for our other finalists, we'll be giving out a Ninja One branded weighted blanket so you can find some time to relax and cozy up after dealing with all of those frustrations.
Yeah. I think this is the time where we get to air, we get to vent, right? And then the rest of the year, you can use that to really just like crush it back down, like I do.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Well, thank you, Brittany, for teeing that up. And yeah, I saw in the chat. Oh man, if you yes, we have been collecting submissions for these things. We have picked finalists, but I will say this: for anybody who is like, oh man, I missed my chance, go ahead, share your grievance, share your feat of strength in the chat here. We'll make sure we go back after the webinar is over, and we'll have like another secondary contest for you latecomers. And we'll make sure that that some of you walk away with something too. Robin, let's talk about some feats of strength. Yeah.
Hi, all. I'm Robin. I'm the Community Engagement Manager here at Ninja One, also known as the Calendar Keeper. I put stuff on the calendar, try to make sure it's as up to date as possible. So feats of admin strength. We have finalists who have been sharing just really big wins of the year. So whether it's, server upgrades or, someone built like a deck or something from, it's all been very interesting and impressive. So we are going to be having 10 finalists, just like the airing of grievances, and they will receive a prize. But our grand winner, the 2024 strongest IT admin, will be getting a Steam Deck. Second and third place prizes, they will be getting the Cyber tool, Cyber L tool, Swiss Army knife. And yeah, excited. We've had some really, really cool entries, so excited to see who comes out on top. Who basically, pins the IT boogeyman of 2024.
Oh man, let's rumble. Okay, cool. Yeah, absolutely. And also in the chat, go ahead, share your strength, feats of strength here in the chat. That's awesome. You can also go in, if you are not a member yet, you can join our Discord, and I will go ahead and do that right there. We're up to 8,000 plus members now, which is awesome. Our Discord community, shout out to everybody there. Man, as we'll see in some of these comments in the feats of strength, that community means a lot to us. It means a lot to a lot of people, and we as the community team feel so thankful that we get to be a part of it. So thank you all for doing that. Really appreciate you, and that's what this time of year is all about too. Okay, So I will stop sharing the screen, and Brittany and Robin will say goodbye for now. Oh, actually, sorry, very importantly, one more thing. So how are we going to determine who wins? That's kind of an important element of this, right? So we're going to, we picked 10 finalists in each of those camps, the Aaron Agruences and the Feat of Strength. And we've created some polls. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to both of those polls here, but don't vote yet because you need to know what you're voting on, right? So we're going to bring our special guests on and we're going to walk through some of these things, but I am going to go ahead and drop the links to these polls so you have them. So here's the deal. We have these 10 finalists, but in order to decide who takes first place, second, third, etc., you guys are going to decide. It's up to you, the people. We want you to choose. And so indeed, Merry Festivus to everyone. Thank you everyone for submitting, but there can be only one grand prize winner. So choose your favorites, but please, again, just hold on to those links. Go ahead and pull them up, but don't vote yet. Brittany, Robin, thank you so much. We'll have you back on at the end to announce the winners. In the meantime, enjoy Festivus and thank you for being here. All right, so I'm going to bring on our very special guests who have taken their time out of their busy holiday schedules to join us on this very special day. And let's see, who should I start with? I think I'll start with someone who is an IT Festivus veteran or a Horror Fest veteran. I don't know, you've been on lots of stuff with us. We've got Jason Slagle, president of CNWR.
Hello.
Hello to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to give any more of an introduction to yourself?
No, I'm, well, sure. Jason Slagle, president of CNWR. We're an MSP in Toledo, Ohio. I'm a usual suspect around most of these types of things, so I mostly don't introduce myself these days.
Well, I do see that you didn't get the memo, but Kelvin and I did. Look
exactly, we did. Look at how amazing I look. Oh, but that his Christmas spirit is bourbon. Okay, all right, okay.
I stand corrected.
Wins. Yes.
I stand
All
corrected.
Right. So if anyone is wondering why I'm lagging, I'm trying to beat Jonathan in being the freeze stack champ, and by lagging all the time and freezing constantly, I'm pretty sure I got you beat.
What's happening? Is this a Festivus unmiracle? I think you're not winning this feat of strength with your band.
Yeah.
He needs an IT guy.
I need an IT guy. Wow.
Well, let's introduce you nonetheless. Kelvin, also for the folks on the call who have been active in the MSP community, Kelvin doesn't need much of an introduction either, but I'll give him one anyway. Kelvin is a owner of an MSP in the Netherlands and also creator of SIP. And the blog, writer of Cyberdrain, which really SIP kind of popped out from. And those of you who are not familiar with SIP, it's open source Microsoft 365 centralized management. And Kelvin, in addition to running that, also has Capture the Flag events designed for sysadmins, which I think is super cool, which Ninja One's been happy to sponsor. You're active in all sorts of things, MSP Geek. What else, Kelvin? What am I missing?
That's a good list. I love when other people introduce me. I love hearing of all my accomplishments. That's also because I have a huge ego, so it's really good when you guys do this. But yeah, CIPP, SIP. It depends. You can name it both ways. It depends on what kind of mood you're in. MSP Geek, MSPs are us, admin on Reddit, Microsoft MVP for 5 times in a row, and so much more. So yeah, I love being a part of this kind of stuff.
Well, we love having you, and that's for sure. Thank you so much, Kelvin. And next, I love just pulling people up like out of the blue. Next, we have Amanda Berlin from Blumera. Amanda is a security professional there and super active in the community as well. Amanda, thanks so much for joining us. Anything else you want to share before we dive into things?
I agree with Kelvin. I just like when people introduce me because I just don't like talking about myself. So yeah, that works.
Well, this is the holiday to do it, to share, to brag about your feats of strength and to air your grievances. So I have a feeling you're not going to be shy later on.
No, I'll get into it. It'll be fun.
All right, next, let's bring up Spencer Alessi. Spencer, hey, how's it going? So Spencer is involved, in so many places in the cybersecurity realm and InfoSec community. He is the guy behind ethical hacking, ethical threats, sorry, and a lot more too. So Spencer, why don't you introduce yourself to the crew?
Yeah, no, awesome. Thanks. I appreciate having me on and being part of this event. Super cool to see everybody's grievances and feats of strength. Just reading through those was super fun, and some of them super heartwarming too. So I'm excited to hear a lot more of those. But yeah, I'm a pen tester at Secure IT 360. I do a lot of open source stuff and a lot of content, so you might have seen me there. And overall, just like sharing what I've learned over the years through sysadmin work and pen testing and hacking and all that stuff, fun stuff. So appreciate it. Excited to be here and chat with you guys.
Yeah, you'll notice something, a theme running out throughout this, that everyone we've got on is giving back to the community in some awesome ways. Spencer's sharing tools that he's developed, which we should definitely drop some links to. So we'll do that, Spencer. But yeah, more on that stuff later. Thanks so much for being here. Awesome. So now we have Henry Zhang, co-founder of Synteon. Synteon is a company I became aware of in the past year or so, talking with Henry and his other co-founder, Zach. They're doing endpoint hardening, which I feel like is one of the most critical parts of security that's underappreciated and that needs a lot of focus. So very glad to have you here, Henry. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. I can open with a grievance for you since we've been talking about this. I wish you told me it was supposed to be Christmas decorations. But I'll forgive you once.
Are you in the back of Zach's RV?
No, he actually kicked me out, so I'm I'm back out on the streets here looking for a place to stay.
Well, maybe some people in the chat will offer up find a place in their hearts to welcome you in for Festivus. Last but not least, Josh Schofield, one of our product leads here at Ninja One. Rocking, I gotta expand your screen here. Rocking up that sweet hat and shirt. Josh, thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here. I think I did this last year as well. It was a good time. I did get the Christmas sweater memo, but it's Florida and it's going to be 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's roughly 15 or 16 or 26, 27 C. It's too hot for sweaters. So I went with the polo. Much more comfortable, especially for Florida weather.
Did you hat is awesome, the Celsius?
I did. Well, Google did. I didn't. I don't know that quickly. But I know we have folks from all over. I'm gonna help everyone.
You're so conscientious.
Josh, as a European, thank you.
Yeah, see, I'm gonna help out our laggy one.
Oh man, I love it. Okay, guys. Well, thank you all for being here. Let's dive into it. The first thing that we're gonna tackle here is the airing of grievances. So let's get into that.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring on the screen our 10 finalists for the airing of grievances. Before I do, any guesses from the panel here? We got so many submissions around this. Again, people do not need a whole lot of prompting. You've seen people in the chat responding to you. Any guesses what the top, I guess, category of grievance was?
I mean, printers is always a problem. I hate that we still print, but yeah, if I could continue hitting them with a bat every day, I'd be happy.
I mean, is users too broad?
I was going to say the same thing.
Users and printers kind of go hand in hand. Yeah. That's perfect.
No, you guys.
Vendors have to be on there as well, right?
Yes, you nailed it. It's absolutely like printers was the first one by far. Only because, Jason, you're right. I took users and I put like subcategories of like why people are annoyed with users. So digging into that a little bit. Any other guesses on particularly like things that are grievances about users?
Clicking links. I mean,
yeah,
Putting in tickets with zero information.
Belly
Help
fishing
is
training.
broken.
yeah.
They're
Help is
complaining
broken
that
is the
you're
most
rebooting their
frustrating thing you
computer.
can get as an IT guy. It's.
That was yes. Okay, so no information was definitely one. The top one user related was, it's kind of a broad category, but basically doesn't listen to advice, won't follow process, don't read emails. So yeah, I think that kind of goes with it. There was also general entitlement and not rebooting. These are some of the big ones. But let's call up. I'm going to bring up share my screen here, and let's see the finalists. So you can see of all of our submissions here, these I feel like were really really great ones. So let's check this out. And we can all, of course, commiserate on this stuff, right? But I think I'm also interested in the panel here, what your thoughts are in terms of suggestions for how to resolve this stuff or how to solve it, right? Like, yes, we should complain about it and vent, but let's actually give some good advice here. Okay, so again, we'll drop the link to the poll here. So now you'll know, audience, what are the finalists? What are the ones we're going to be voting for here? And this is what's at stake. All right. So number 1, can everyone see this? Or I need to make it bigger.
Enhance.
Let's see if this works.
That's
okay,
better.
there we go. That'll work. All right. Oh no, it's gonna.
Turn off the bottom.
Okay, hold on. We'll just do this. We'll give it like a quick drop, and then when we discuss it, we'll bring it back down. All right. The first one. Users going rogue to DIY their own solutions. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll let you guys check it out. I did like the description here of what this person does in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, and it's all SaaS applications now, right? Like, because if you're doing it right, they don't have local admin, so they just get a SaaS application to do the thing they would previously have shadow IT'd. So now it's shadow SaaS.
Shadow IT detection is so annoying. There's so much stuff going on that just you're completely unaware of. I mean,
we should rename it to Ninja IT.
I did bring this up, like ChatGPT too. Like they now have a new source of information that's easier than quote unquote Googling something, because it tells them bad information right off the rip versus having to click 3 times. So yeah, it's definitely painful, I can imagine. And
yeah, I did bring this up too because as someone who the Ninja internal IT team has to deal with, I may be contributing to this problem.
Don't worry, all users are. Yeah. Yes, I'm putting you in the category of user.
To the problem. I just am high enough in the thing that it's not shadow IT when I do it because I get to make those decisions.
Exactly. Like I was going to say, anyone in IT and security are usually the worst.
Yeah.
No, developers are the worst.
Developers are the worst.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they're pretty bad. Yeah.
All right. So then, well, actually, I mean, well, okay, yeah, we'll get into some advice on how to attack that a little bit. Okay. Here's the uptime one, right? People just don't reboot.
So you're, as the IT provider, are doing it wrong if you have things getting to 100 days, right? Like that's an anti-pattern for IT and for the user. The user may be too dumb to realize that rebooting the monitor isn't the system.
Shutting the laptop light doesn't turn it off?
Or turning the monitor back on.
Or which computer did they reboot? Their personal one or their work one?
I was about to get to that. I remember I helped desk having a ticket at one day where they said they asked the user to reboot their computer, and they didn't understand that they didn't mean their business computer. So they went home, rebooted their computer, then called back saying, "Yeah, I rebooted my home PC. It's still not working." Like they didn't understand there was no link between those two things. It's
how are they going to keep all their 100 tabs open? If they reboot.
That's what I'm saying.
So you're gonna lose Stop describing me.
I mean, mine come back up after I reboot. I made sure to fix that years ago.
This graphics healer guy said that he had a PC that hadn't been rebooted in 3+ years. I remember back in like the FreeBSD like 4.0 days, there was actually an uptime leaderboard. You could install a software package that would submit your uptime to the uptime leaderboard. I had a FreeBSD 4.11 system that was over 5 years.
I bet you that's still going.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah.
Incredible. So I mean, like, so basically, you're saying the solve for this is just don't allow this to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we get tickets if things aren't rebooted in 60 days, like because that means they're probably not patching.
Yeah, exactly. Use your RMN to detect that they haven't rebooted. Make sure they patch. And right now, it's going to be more hard to detect if they haven't patched or not because help patch just became available for Windows, so the OS doesn't need to reboot anymore. But still, it's a good practice. Just make sure that after 30 days they get a forced reboot. Like there's no reason for them.
And it's
to do it all.
Windows. Like just
It's
because
Windows.
there's hot patches, it definitely still needs to reboot. You know,
Yes.
there's some piece of software with a memory leak somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you should
Bleeding
absolutely
all over.
reboot it in the middle of the day when the user is the busiest.
It's lunch.
Generally, when a PowerPoint's up.
During their most important meeting of the entire month, because every meeting that any user has is always the most important one.
Yeah, our reboot script actually detects the presence of PowerPoint and chooses that moment to reboot.
Sending a message.
It's the event.
Yes.
They went full screen. Now's the time.
I'm waiting for the IT team members who are watching this to force a reboot on my machine right now.
Oh, that would be. I mean, we would just think you froze. So
Fair. I do get they do have something where my Chrome has to restart. Like they give me the notice and it's restarting like all the time now. Okay, here's one that I definitely wanted to get everyone's feelings on. Let's make this a little bit bigger so people can read. Like myself, who is old and who needs to read this this grievance about the youths. What do you guys think?
you were dumb once.
Are the younger technicians, are the kids these days, do they just not want to try as hard? Basically, is what this comes down to.
I think that the world has made it easier, right? Like honestly, Google didn't exist when I grew up, so you basically learned by making every mistake possible. The newer techs don't have that, right? Like, and everyone forgets that they were once dumb.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Something I
Everyone
learned.
was once dumb. And it's also, you have a very, like talking about the youths, we have a bunch of Gen Z employees and they have a much higher computer literacy than any of our previous employees because they grew up with it. They already understood the basics of it. They never had to learn how to do specific things because it was already user friendly. It was already in their entire life. It wasn't something that they've never known a life without. And I think that's a big difference also in troubleshooting skills. Because they have basic computer literacy, they have less troubleshooting skills because you didn't have to do it. You weren't forced to look up how to install an application because every application you install these days, it just works.
And
you no longer have to
everything's an
suffer.
app.
Yeah, and everything's an app
for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Everything's
It's not. They don't have full OSs in
Yep.
schools,
No,
right?
it's
You have
Chrome
Chrome
OS.
OS, you have your iPhone, you have your tablet. You know, like there isn't
what-
a troubleshooting. There's no cables. I don't need to do any of that stuff.
Yep.
That's
I
what's
think
great
a lot
about
of
help
this
desk.
comes down to
is
being a mindset, right?
that's what's
Sorry,
great
go
about
ahead.
help desk too is like you get to be in a position where you can troubleshoot things, and like something I learned was taking the OSI model and like working backwards, like from the physical layer, like is it plugged in, to the application layer, and just kind of like walking through the steps of like where are the problems or where could the problems be.
Yeah, I think there's two parts of this, right? Because the first part of this talks about the wild goose chase, which actually is the most valuable part of learning IT. Is you want to go down the wild goose hunt. You want to, unfortunately, break things, but hopefully learn from the things you broke. Because I think that I've broke probably way more than I've fixed over my career, which is unfortunate, but I learned from it. The other side of it is the giving up quickly, and that's just the nature of the kind of the mindset of most people these days is getting instant gratification, and it's learning through that. I think is solving some of that problem.
I mean, a lot of that I think comes down to the mindset of sort of how they're being taught too. I don't know.
Yeah, Henry, I mean, any advice for how to handle this, right? Like if it is all these differences, are there any suggestions or recommendations about training or changing the mindset around younger employees?
I mean, it's a little bit of what I found is a little bit of a cyclical thing where if they're coming and they're expecting something on a silver platter and then you get frustrated and you give it to them, then it's they're getting gratification for the wrong type of work that they're putting in. Like training a dog, I guess, feels like an apt analogy for me when it comes to like teaching new people how to work through these things and understand how to do research.
There's treats and there's bells and there's
repetition.
I've lost responses effective.
What do you mean by repetition, Josh? Just like the consistency?
Yeah, just you're gonna repeat yourself. Just get used to it. It's fine. There's no way about it. Like no way around it. You're gonna just do that and be okay with it.
It's a fine balance though, right? Because we have tier 1 techs that will spend way too long on tickets, right? And it's like at some point or another, they're just spinning their wheels. And it's like, no, you need to, I literally was telling them all last week, you need to escalate that, right? It's like eventually you learn how to do it, but you don't know now. And you could have solved 8 other tickets that you know how to do in the time you spent trying to even figure out how that works.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jason.
So let's keep it going here. And I think we probably have to speed up a little bit. But okay, so not pay attention to notices. This is finalist number 4 for those scoring at home. I mean, tale as old as time.
This also isn't just users. This is
it's not. I was going to say the same thing.
This is me.
This is me.
Yeah.
I feel called out here.
Is this internal IT writing this? Because yeah.
I remember 2 years ago, a large vendor in our space ignored notices about AWS stopping their database format and then had 2 days of data corruption.
Huh.
And like their primary tool didn't work anymore. It was because they ignored these kind of notices. So no, it's not just a user thing. It's an IT thing in general. I guess it's an everyone thing.
Said vendor then blamed AWS.
Yeah.
As you do. All right. So let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, here is. I mean, probably don't need. I just love the brevity of this one.
That's it.
There were so many comments about printers, but I just love that this one got it rolling.
Zebra printers.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about those.
Label printer.
Yeah, we have a lot of manufacturing and a lot of vets, and they both use Zebra printers, and like we use them at conferences. They are the worst printers of all the printers, and they're the best of that type of printer. That's not saying a lot when you're
During last MSP GeekCon, Jason spent about 3 hours trying to fix the printer right before the ticket desk was open.
I would get it working. We'd send a label to it. It would print one correct, and then it would go back to spinning out the entire sheet of label with everyone it did.
Jason, you should have escalated that.
I don't understand. Like, we have all of this great AI stuff. We have people going to space. All of these great and people they still cannot create a functional long use printer.
Zebra, well, ZPL is just a bad language. I mean, the problem is the language is the printer speak, right? Postgres is like Turing complete, right? Like PCL is terrible, ZPL is terrible. That's the problem.
I'm pretty sure there's like a Reply All podcast episode about exactly that, Amanda. Like we're in space, like we're gonna go to Mars before we make a printer that's actually like working well.
I bet you they don't have printers in space because they know they won't work.
You can't troubleshoot it well there.
And the toner just gets everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, we got to roll through these. Sorry, I man, this is always so much fun, like reveling in this stuff. Okay, not listening to advice. This is similar to the not notices thing, but a more strategic one. I feel like this is really calling out the whole like, what did you hire me for if you're not going to pay attention to what my recommendations are?
That is the life of a consultant.
Yeah, I mean, it just means you're bad at explaining it, right? Like the user doesn't understand it or they wouldn't ignore it. Like that's, sorry, whoever submitted that, I think that's on you.
I don't know about that.
Hey, tough, like you got to get the tough love here on Festivus. This one, I really like.
This one's a wall.
I know. I'm going to sum it up for you so you don't have to read it all. But
we need ChatGPT.
Here, just read the last line.
Yes, the last line, lack of communication, timeliness. Basically, like this person, Mike, thank you for submitting this. This story is amazing. So basically, he gets told that, hey, the CEO comes and says, hey, like we're moving the office to another location. This is going to have to happen by the end of the month. So this is completely out of the blue. So Mike busts his ass, burns the midnight oil to figure out how to do all this stuff. And then when it's all said and done, he ends up moving in there, but he's the only one. Like, he's the only one in there. Like, they didn't actually even need to do it, or they're like, they decided
twist.
during the process they're gonna like pivot and do something else, and so he's like alone in this office that he painstakingly prepared. Oh,
sounds great.
That sounds like a dream come true, no?
There's a corollary to this one, which is clients that don't involve you in planning until way too late. Right,
Yeah.
because that's the actual problem here is that they knew more than a month in advance that this was happening, right? They just didn't tell IT until 3 days before they needed it.
Yeah, absolutely. But like in just that, like that was a common theme too of like, I don't know, these decisions that weren't really thought through or they're going to change. But when it's presented to IT, it's like, this is a fire drill. This has to happen right now. And so IT busts their ass and like works so hard to do it, and they do this heroic effort, and then it actually doesn't even really end up.
I was going to say, is this not a feat of strength versus a grievance?
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. Very good point. Okay. Finalist number 8, updates, breaking things. I like this one too. There's a lot of them that were like anything Microsoft or anything just updates, wrecking stuff. But I like this one too, because it's like, not only is that a pain, it's that everyone looks at me as the one who did this to them.
The latest Windows 11 update seems to take like 45 plus minutes to install. Yeah.
And like, whose fault is that, right? It's like, okay, yeah, you can blame Microsoft, but you're the IT person. So like, people are frustrated with you, right?
And then you'll also get blamed if you don't do it and they get popped later.
Exactly. Updates are always the fault of the IT person closest to you.
People hate when they're
in the room. You always sit furthest from the door as the IT person.
Exactly.
All right, number 9. This is also another wall. What can I say? Our Discord members are prolific. They're great writers. But basically, this one rounds down to. Oh yeah, okay. Actually, this is one of those devs that you guys were talking about. Develops a solution that's going to solve all of the company's problem, this very specific problem they have. Right? It's going to do it exquisitely well. No one adopts it. Yeah. Everyone's like, no thanks.
So developed solution created zero documentation or training, and then wonders why.
No training on this.
I mean, that's developer 101.
Yeah, the company
buy-in. You have to train them properly.
Yeah, you got to have buy-in. If you don't have that executive buy-in to push it, my wife works in training, corporate training, so I hear about this all the time. And this is about purchase solutions that don't get that level of executive involvement. They just kind of fail.
On the sales side, they talk about BAN, right? You need budget, authority, needs, and timing. One of those wasn't true. Like, you probably didn't have authority to write this solution. You just went YOLO'd it and then wonder why no one uses it.
Yeah. It's probably great, though.
It's so fun to go yellow, though. Okay, and then the last one, finalist number 10.
That's not even zombie. That's barely zombie. Like,
you're
come back to me when it's 2003.
Or 2000.
We just found out that one of our clients who specializes in manufacturing has a 2000 server.
Oh yeah,
running.
Yeah,
it's completely disconnected from everything. It's completely disconnected from everything. It's for a robot somewhere.
Let it go. Yeah, let it go. Let it live.
From the century.
It's
What's
an
the
HMI.
problem?
It's probably $300,000 to replace it. Like, just let it live.
Exactly.
Use the hard drive
much
cloner.
Yeah.
Take a backup of it. Keep extra hard drives around. You'll be.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, just wall guard in it. That's an acceptable solution.
Yep.
Yeah. We did have a message the other day. I think it was from a salesperson asking if we supported NT. No, it's NT or 3.1 or something for Sysmon. I'm like, no, that doesn't work.
Oh.
I don't even know.
Does that version have event viewer?
I don't think it has logs.
To be fair, have you tried?
No, I'm not. I didn't see that option in Amazon to like create a VM with 3.1.
It's one of those emails that you just ignore. Those notifications that you just didn't see it.
No, just no.
All right, so we are taking votes. I dropped the link, and I'm looking at it now. Number 5 printers is so far in the lead. But yeah, everybody, please take some time to vote now that you've seen those top grievances. And with that, let's keep this thing moving. Let's go into a more positive thing, celebrating everyone's feats of strength. Kelvin trying to get votes. What are you getting votes for?
I don't know, but I want to win. I am very.
And now, as Festivus rolls on, we come to the feats of strength.
Cutting Kelvin off, amazing.
That was good. That
Perfect
was perfect timing.
All right. Let's go into the feats of strength. Same deal, everybody. We're gonna go through the top 10. We can comment on it. Not really so much advice, more just kind of like celebrating each other, right? And here is what's up for grabs as a reminder. So please do vote. I'll go ahead and drop that link in here in the chat so people can do that while we're reviewing this stuff. Okay, there you go. All right, the first one, a 48-hour retail revamp. So basically took over IT for 3 retail stores on November 1st, had 2 days to rip out the whole thing, install new computers, get everything basically replaced and back up and running again so the stores could reopen. And Ogre, my man, Mike, you did it. I like this comment too. Props to our COO and CEO for helping with the install. They may not know much about tech, but sometimes it makes them better at following instructions.
The best thing about that is that this is an early 1900s building, so I'm sure it was like an access point in every room because we used to build rooms out of Faraday cages. Like literally, they were chicken wire with plaster on them, and that doesn't pass Wi-Fi.
My house is built like early mid 1900s, and I need like ubiquity point in literally every room because it's just like the drywall and the plaster is like 3 inches thick on every wall.
Yeah, well, and there's chicken wire back there that has holes that are smaller than the wavelength of 2, 4, and 5/8, so it will stop the signal.
Yeah, and running the wire through all of that.
Yeah.
Like the wiring to get the APs to boot up.
Yeah,
there's just a lot of work going on right there.
Yeah, cool.
I love to like. There's a lot of like, just IT working theoretically. IT like meeting the real world is one of my favorite like class of like of things. How the real world is messy and like the way that you have to get solutions around things. Like you just get so many surprises and things that aren't going to be ideal. This is a sweet one, guys. Again, I'll sum it up. We'll go to the second block here. So I guess my feat of strength is persevering through self-doubt, lack of experience and knowledge, doing the best I can to learn and grow. So basically like getting a job at an MSP, having imposter syndrome, kind of waiting, like, when am I going to get found out? But sticking with it, and persisting despite that. I think that's something that, this person is not alone in going through.
Yeah. I think most of us that aren't Kelvin have imposter syndrome.
I was gonna say, mine is yet to go.
I kind of expected that to come up. The thing is, I'm just so awesome. I can be an imposter. No, but I love this kind of stuff too, especially when someone realizes how far they've actually gotten. Like when they're looking back and they're like, "Holy crap, I've done amazing!" It's so good to see. We actually see it a lot at MSP GeekCon and these kind of conferences where you're talking to someone technical and you're like, "Holy crap, dude, you're awesome!" And they're actually like, "Oh wait, no, I'm not." They respond with like shock almost. So yeah, it's really good.
It's cool to realize and like mature to the point in your like career and skills when you realize that it's about the process and not the end goal, right?
Yeah.
Like the process of learning is the fun part.
Yep.
Like you'll never get to the end. You'll never know everything. So enjoying that process as much as it is uncomfortable is kind of like a cool realization that you can have. So
yeah, the other side of being able to help others versus being the one helped. Like that's like the flipping point. It's like, oh, I do know that.
Well, and if you're good at this, you never stop learning, right? Technology advances so quickly. And I would also encourage the new people, learn the old stuff too, because it will teach you a lot about why it works the way it does. And that's also important.
I really like the comment Stephen made in the chat. If you really want to learn a subject well, try to teach it.
Yep.
100% true.
Oh,
like
well, speaking
anytime you can like create. Yeah. All right.
Oh, sorry, Amanda. Yeah, no, go for it. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, anytime you create content or try and teach a subject to people that aren't an SME in that, I always learn something.
Well, that's exactly couldn't ask for a better tee up for finalist number 3. The way that he's saying he beat imposter syndrome finally after 10 years was doing exactly that. So he went and started teaching. And that's what it took, right? So like he's now done some courses, and also I love this fact too. He says, I hit a ceiling before taking on the instructor role due to some anxiety talking in front of people. So he went out, like he saw this about himself, and then he went out to like, I want to get better at that. I think it's an important skill. He decided to put himself into instructing, and that's really helped him. I think this is so cool.
Overcoming the fear of public speaking has got to be one of the hardest things.
Oh yeah. If you figure out how, let me know.
I'm still working on it
over and over and over again. You're on your way, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been told you do it 1,000 times, you still feel like you just do the same thing every time. Hope to God it works, right?
If I ever don't have anxiety public speaking, I'll probably quit public speaking.
Then all you can.
Here's a feat of strength. Staying up for working for 34 hours straight during a critical customer migration. I don't know. I want to applaud it, and I don't, because like, man, you shouldn't have to be doing that. Yeah. You know,
there's so much risk. Like I think we've all been here before, but towards the tail end of those hours, there could be more change or more things broken than actually fixed. Having done that, I've learned my lesson. There's a cap at what you should be working and shouldn't be. It doesn't matter how big the migration.
Yeah, we start sending people home now, right? It's like you go home because this is going to take a while, and you go home and sleep for 6 hours, and then come back and you're going to relieve me.
Okay, so I just got pinged. We got to move it with the time here. Oh man, this is such a brave one. I think this is a feat of strength just for sharing this. So this is from our Discord. This member made an important decision to take time for his mental health. He actually stepped aside 72 hours without anything, wanting to take time for that. And this just so happened to coincide with the CrowdStrike outage, which, thanks to how he's built the team and the process and everything, his team was able to fly through it and handle it. This is just such an amazing comment, I think.
Also, has to be a gratifying thing
saying this publicly, admitting this publicly is absolutely amazing. So Flux Archon, really, this is, if you're in the chat right now, it's so cool that you were able to say this in a public forum of your peers. Absolutely,
100%.
It normalizes it more.
Yeah, 100%.
Fantastic.
Okay, here we go. The going back to like the uptime thing. Chrome Shavings walked into a company that hadn't patched servers in over 3 years. Within 3 months, handled it from chaos to control. Super cool. All right, let's keep it going.
Shout out Ninja One Discord.
And then shout out for the Ninja One Discord. That's what I think is awesome. Okay, here's another wall of text. Josh, I love you, buddy. You always have such verbose stories, and I want to share them all. And it's hard to do. It's great on Discord though. But basically, he was walking into a nonprofit client. They were moving into a new building. They came up with a big plan for all the cabling, all the wiring. It was going to be beautiful. And then the client said, actually, we're going to have the electricians run stuff. And so they did, to save money. When Josh's team shows up, it's a nightmare. and then he has a 6-day timeline where he had to basically deal with what the chaos and the shit show that he'd walked into. I feel like, Jason, you and Tom, like, you have this... You have opinions about this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, some electricians know how to do low voltage. Other electricians know how to pull wire, right? Like, they're not the same thing. When you pull, like, when you're pulling electrical, it's a lot less mattering what goes where, right? It's like all that thing on that circuit is a daisy chain. Yeah, it's not great.
Finalist number 8, device setup speed run. So Graphic Healer has a lot of devices on Windows Home. But then in Pro, and basically created a set to take 30 seconds to basically automate the install and get those devices up and running. Cool thing to do.
It is cool, but centralized management of Windows Home sucks. So
Yep.
That was a nightmare.
Yes.
And then we have finalist number 9, shout out for documentation. That's a great. I'm sure a lot of teams definitely benefit from at least one person on the team being the documentation champion. I think that's a really cool feat of strength.
Yeah, those people are weird, but I very much applaud them.
Some people just have that tick. They just enjoy doing it.
Like the same thing with GRC people. It's like, I don't know how you do what you do, but man, thank you for doing it so I don't have to.
Exactly. I would fall asleep in the first hour. A good example of that is Tim Golden. He's a friend of ours and also a vendor in the space, and he's able to talk about GRC all the time. And like, if I'm just talking about it for 5 minutes, I'm okay. You know what? This is getting boring.
Oh, but it revs him up.
Impressive how he entertains himself.
Yeah, Henry's probably Henry's speaking that language. Okay, and then I thought you guys would get a kick out of this one. Steve, who's in the chat. Hey, Steven. Steven had an amazing feat of strength last year too, by the way, where he actually helped put out a honest to God real life trash fire, dumpster fire. It's incredible. But anyway, this year he comes back with the company he worked for had to bug out of a country due to international sanctions. And he basically was charged with developing a script that was going to nuke those machines, get everything that could be used off of them. And so, yeah, pretty cool. Like, usually you're in the seat of like making sure stuff like this doesn't happen, and getting to actually turn around and develop something like this must have been really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, if it was a movie, they would have physically exploded, but
of course. But I also love the description that 500 machines were as useful as a chocolate teapot. I mean,
yes.
that is brilliant.
Oh, okay. Time to vote, everybody. And with that, let's move on. Last segment. 10 minutes left. We're gonna have to speed run it. Let's see here. So I'm very excited about this one. This is one that a few of us who've been following Ninja for a while. We did this a little bit a couple years ago.
Welcome to the party, pal. Come out to the coast. We'll get together.
That's right. This is the segment that we are calling DIY hardening. And what we're going to do here is we've asked the panelists, what's your go-to security hardening recommendation? We just so happen to have a pen tester here. Hey, Spencer. And we want to get Spencer's take on, okay, Spencer, you're basically, you're Alan Rickman, going into the building, and you're trying to get through the security traps. And I want you to tell us, like, how much of a pain in the ass any of these hardening measures are really making your life. So with that, let's start with you, Jason. Jason, your recommendation was around least privilege, right?
Yep. If you can implement least privilege and remove the ability for anyone to be local admin, when users do dumb things, lateral movement becomes a lot harder for Spencer. If you drop into a machine and you are an admin or domain admin, even better, then his life gets a lot easier. So just by separating it around who has access to what they actually need, I believe you make life a lot harder.
Yeah,
Spencer,
for sure.
What's your take?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of my biggest recommendations during pen tests is, open shares, SharePoint that's not restricted, and OneDrive, just access around the environment in general. So yeah, I'm a big fan of least privilege. I talk about all the time. It's in like most of my recommendations, and especially when it comes to administrative accounts, the domain admin level type of accounts, you want to be super protective of and super least privileged, because once you get a privileged account in many environments, it's really game over after that. The idea should be you get an admin account and you can't do anything with that. That's the goal. And
Henry, let's get it over to you, because Synthion's you guys are in the game of basically helping people implement, we talk about NIST and CIS, all these controls, right? You're helping people actually implement those controls at scale. This is a little bit more broad than that, but any thoughts about practical implementation of that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing I was gonna say was defense in depth is the big one for me. Just making sure you have several layers of protection. And I guess I'd be remiss to not say that hardening your system should be one of those things that you should be doing. So managing configurations, making sure protocols like SMB1 are disabled, outgoing NTLM connections, things like that. But then for you specifically, Spencer, this was my experience with running like a cybersecurity competition and what we had to do to harden systems. How much of a challenge is it for you if I delete bash off of the system?
Off of like a Linux system, or are you talking about like Windows subsystem for Linux, or
no, like a Linux server? Yeah. You're shaking your head at me.
It won't. I mean, the system won't work anymore, but that's not a problem for me at all because I'll use CSH or ZSH instead.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take that back to those guys at Argonne. Let them know they could have figured it out.
Let's go on to Kelvin. Thanks, Enrique. So Kelvin, your recommendation was around locking down M365 access, right?
Yeah, exactly. So of course, I'm an M365 guy, so I'll talk about M365. And one of the things that is, and it's actually a part of least privilege, but extended. One of the biggest things that you can do to annoy attackers, at least, is making sure that users and guest users don't have access to the entire directory, as is the default in M365. So there's two checkboxes that you have to set, and it becomes impossible to enumerate stuff. It's absolutely crazy.
That's a lie.
It becomes it becomes impossible to enumerate the stuff that you need.
Okay, because I can enumerate users and stuff via the existence of SharePoint home directories without logging anything anywhere. Because you get a 404 if they don't exist, and a 302 if they do, or 302 if they do.
Exactly.
Spencer, any thoughts about that and how that how's that affect you?
Yeah, I mean, we use that exact technique on external pen tests, social engineering engagements, stuff like that, to enumerate and get a list of users to password spray, credential stuff, social engineer, etc. But yeah, restricting guest access is obviously super important. There are social engineering attacks that kind of use some of those techniques. So I'm a fan of, if you don't need it, get rid of it kind of thing from a least privilege standpoint. So I'm all for that.
All right, Amanda, you're up. What's your go-to security hardening recommendation?
So I think I said this when we first talked about it when before on the cast, but mine's less of a hardening recommendation because I'm more on the detection side, and it's just install sysmon with a good config, because granted it's not like hardening anything, but it's definitely going to detect things at every level of attack.
You say that, but I remember seeing something somewhere. I'll try to be better and find a source. I remember seeing something where during discovery phases, if attackers see that sysmon's around, that's actually a real deterrent.
Yep. And if you have sysmon installed, then you can go one further. This is the one that I was going to say. Just monitor for usage of the command "Who am I?"
Oh my lord, yeah.
Like,
I need discovery commands.
Look at, I just ruined Spencer's life.
No, actually, so what I do most day in, day out, like week after week, is assume breach. So I already have access, so I don't really need to run Who Am I in many situations. But that being said, I do think sysmon is a hardening measure from a detection hardening standpoint, right? Because of what Jason alluded to, is like recon is a big proponent of threat actors' initial activity. And a lot of EDR systems are going to chain those things together, and they're not going to bubble up until it reaches a certain threshold. But if you have custom detections for things that your users are not going to run, like ipconfig, if Susie in accounting never should run ipconfig, like that should fire an alert, right? And there's custom alerts that you can create if you have the team and the capabilities to do it. You can do some really creative and unique detection strategies, or implement unique strategies that way.
Spencer, would it be, and like the rest of you guys too, looking at reports like the DFIR, blogs that come out, and seeing those things, I always go back and focus on like initial access and what's happening early on in the chain. What about just using like Windows firewall and stuff to like block a ton of crap from doing outbound connections to the internet that shouldn't be?
Yeah.
Is that kind of like a whack-a-mole thing, or is that useful?
I wouldn't do it at Windows Firewall because if I have admin access, I can change Windows Firewall, right? But if you can do it at the edge and block things that aren't supposed to be outside from reaching outside, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, it's more impactful for me from an attacker perspective for lateral movement once I'm inside. So if the firewall is properly enabled on endpoints, Windows endpoints internally, it's going to be harder for me to enumerate systems. If I have access, maybe I won't even be able to get to that machine because it's firewalled. So it's more imperative to have it internally and make sure that's locked down.
Gotcha. All right, Josh, bring us home. So you work for Ninja One, and your hardening recommendation. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. It's a good one. What do you got?
Least privilege is always number one. You want to get rid of admin rights. I won't repeat that one again. But there's also the need to understand what's on your network. So like you got to discover CIS 1 and 2, and then you got to patch everything. Just get the patches done. Stop worrying about it. Stop worrying what CVS, if it's a CVSS 5 versus a 9, just deploy all the patches. Update everything. Stop worrying about categorizing them and putting them in order. You do want to report on them at those levels, but when you're pushing your patches, just push them. We're stuck in mindsets of technology that's 30 years old, and you're worried about pushing everything because there's either not enough bandwidth or not enough space. There's still some of that today, but it's a lot easier to patch everything today than it was 15 years ago.
Yep. I will say during Pentest, the firms, the organizations that have spent time to intimately learn their environment, know what's normal and what's not normal, are way better off and more well suited to detect that suspicious activity when it happens than those that aren't. So definitely echo that. It's like learn your environment, learn what's normal, so you can begin to see what's not.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Henry, any other like last parting thoughts in terms of hardening recommendations or tips or anything?
Put me on the spot with this one, huh?
Yeah.
Test before you deploy. Test before you deploy. Even if you're not sure or you don't think it's going to cause problems, I swear to God, people don't document shit. You never know what's going to break.
Yeah, I think about this blog a lot. I think it was from maybe the Palantir security team. So, but they released something where they were basically like, look, we've rolled out. It was about attack surface reduction rules, and what was really cool about it was like we've deployed this across a ton of devices in our org and everything, and they gave recommendations on what you can set to just like go ahead and set it to block versus what you want to set to monitor and all that stuff. I feel like more people should do things like that. It'd be really cool. But thank you all.
Make sure to actually review the audit logs.
Yeah. But yeah, no, thank you guys so much for chiming in on this. I think with that, it's time to revisit our polls. We're right at noon here. So let's announce our winners, and then we can wish everyone a happy Festivus and a happy other holidays. Let's bring on Brittany and Robin again, and I'll try not to ambush them too much. Hey, Brittany, you're back.
Yes, hello. I am very delayed. I don't know what's going on with my camera or anything, so
it happens. Okay, so let's check out the IT grievance. Let's check out this poll. I'm going to refresh it and see if we've got anything else. Okay. Ooh. Kind of a close one, but looks like, surprise, surprise. Printers.
Yeah.
Printers is the winner.
Not surprised. Not
Are
surprised
they winners?
at all. I feel like that
printers are winners. Just saying.
I feel like that could have been the winner last year too.
What's the deal? Yeah. So we have that one. What's number 2 here? We got, it was pretty close. Refusing to reboot. And then number 3, the updates. Being seen as a bad guy. So congratulations to those winners. Brittany, Robin, and I will be following up with you to make sure that you get your winnings. And like I mentioned, for those of you in the chat who've joined us, thank you so much. As Kelvin brings up, you're all winners in my book. So nice of Kelvin. He doesn't mean it. but it's
I'm
not.
actually a very nice guy. Do I get one of those weighted blankets now too? Because I'm nice. I want being nice.
But for you, those of you who have missed our notices and you didn't read our notices, and you added things here in the chat, we will make sure that we give out some prizes for you too after this. Okay, so let's go.
Oh, wait. If you did add yourself in the chat or add something in the chat, make sure that we know how to find you, because I've tried to give out prizes for people active in the chat and their name is like, leave me alone. And they didn't get anything because I couldn't figure out who they were.
You followed their instructions.
Yeah, I did.
Well, so in that case, what you can do is you can actually join the Discord.
There you go.
And then just message us and be like, hey, that was me. Don't lie about it. We'll find you.
I'm going to send every one of them as me.
All right, let's go over to, let me stop sharing this and go to, let's check in on best feat of strength. Oh man, look at that. We're celebrating prioritizing the mental health. Thank you so much. I've forgotten the name, your Discord handle, but like Kelvin said, incredibly brave for you to post that. I think it's great. Like Amanda mentioned, helps normalize this, which is such a great thing. So you're going to get rewarded for that, which is very cool to see. Oh, looks like we got a tie for a second, though. Robin, how do we resolve this?
We have a second and third place prize, so 2 ties, a second and third place. No resolution needed.
Yeah, that's fair. We can also probably roll that third. We can give the fourth place one of those prizes too. Maybe it's Festivus.
It is Festivus.
All right, cool. Well,
Jonathan, look at our private chat
that
before you go.
Hi.
Okay, we'll do. I should shout out mental health hackers.
Yes.
This mental health, I don't. Oh, there we go. Amanda, tell us more about it. What do you got?
Yeah, so it's a nonprofit that I run that helps destigmatize mental health in tech.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how
you can find out more at mentalhealthhackers.org. We have villages at lots of conferences. We do online events, a whole bunch of stuff.
This is amazing.
I also recommend getting a dog. I had to change locations because there's construction and my dog was scared, but get a dog.
Luna. Also, Brittany, I think people wanted to know the name of your cat too, by the way.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. His name is Timo. So if you've ever played League of Legends, he's a little invisible kind of disappearing act. So that's why he's called that. And then my dog is currently barking outside, if you can hear that. So it's a
Brittany has a zoo.
Yeah.
I have a zoo too. It's just kids.
Yeah. Yep. I hear that one. Everybody, thank you so much. I'm so glad that we got to call out the mental health thing, especially this time of year. It can be a rough one. I do hope that I hope this encourages everyone to take the pause like we were talking about and really reflect on, there's a lot you probably accomplished this year that you really should celebrate. I get trapped in the mindset of like, okay, everything's like, I just have to make it to the end of the year and then it's done. But no, like January 1st comes around and like, and it's not, you're not going to have that break unless you make it for yourself. And so I hope everyone does that. Thank you everybody for all the speakers here. You should definitely check out everything that they're doing. These are great people who give back to the community in lots of different ways. We'll follow through with an email that has a link to the recording and links to how you can follow everybody. And with that, I think I'll just say Happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus.
See everybody in 2025.